in your opinion, what are the key skills and competencies that leaders should possess to create a thriving organizational culture?
Okay, so definitely with the whole be open.
That
Definitely
makes
the whole be
sense.
open. Yeah, and also, so I want to say also deciphering the difference between um seeking acceptance or acknowledgement, and seeing that for yourself, but then also for those that are working for the company. Um, Another would be the art of being present. Um, it's great to so much is said, right? Like, let's review the data. And that data is from the past, right? Like, and that could be in the form of sales, it could be in the form of performances, whatever it is, it's in the past. And at the same time, it's acknowledging that there were certain circumstances and whatnot that was happening in the past, but then now bringing yourself into the present, what's happening,
Mm-hmm.
what's going on. And I think that that's where a lot of people can really succeed when they can be in the present. They're able to glean insight and information that could change the trajectory for products and services that are being produced. And I think that's how it is, that you have those certain companies that end up producing these and changing these products and services that are ahead, quote unquote. Seems like it's ahead, but really what it was they created the path, and then others just kind of like followed it, or they
Mm-hmm.
saw just how amazing it was.
So
um yeah.
can I ask you this? Because
Yeah.
I'm going to forget if I wait. And that
Okay.
is, when you're talking present, would you say that is somehow separate from or distinguished from mindfulness? Because when you say present, I think about that in the mindfulness sense. And again, there's lots of good research, not just from hippies and Buddhists.
Mm.
In fact, it's interesting how often Buddhist monks tend to hang out with neuroscientists in their labs because they've had 2,500 years to get good at things like mindfulness. And we have lots of research now about the benefits of not just meditation, but mindfulness and how it affects your brain and your concentration and blah, blah, blah. So is being present and being mindful the same thing, or are they different for what you mean?
So I look at them differently, similar but differently. I even with the push on mindfulness, I actually encourage wholefulness. A lot of things tend to continue to just be focused on the mind. And so even though those who do practice and study mindfulness, they actually understand what I'm saying when I say that it's a wholefulness, in the sense of the whole body and the whole being is there. But just the name in and of itself, I don't know if because it was seeking acceptance by other cultures to include the word mind, to me, it still perpetuates that it's just the brain that's involved, or the mind is actually involved, when really it's the whole body. And so when I say of being present, it's the sense of literally like you wholly being present. It means you um, going to the line, to the production factories. It's you actually being in these meetings. Just be a fly on the wall. You don't have to always be the one that's leading it and taking action on it. It's just, it's going out to where your customers are, watching them shop, see how they're shopping, how do they make their choices. It's simply to be, right? Like that's how I think about it, is that it's being there to the point that all that you're all that you're really looking at or paying attention to, quote unquote, is what's surrounding you at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Gathering that information and just kind of being a piece of just kind of being there. Sometimes I feel like what happens is you can go somewhere with this intention and with this purpose, and like that's what you're going to focus on. It's like, I'm going to this meeting to da 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 da. But what if you were to go in to just be? And then you're allowing yourself to just be present and seeing what comes out of it without you actually interjecting. And then see what creative ideas come up.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's where the whole being open thing comes in, right? Because it's more than likely you're going to get some things that you would have never even thought about. It's when you're present, then you're going to start to feel even within your body, like hearing something and your body being like, ugh, or being like, oh my gosh, like it's that somatic response to it that even then you get to explore, whoa, like that happened, that got activated. But then why? Like, could it have been because of some other past experience that because now you would have gone, because you would have understood yourself even more so through this practice, you could see that even then your experience, like, was there a past failure and you're scared of that happening again, and you would have in the past completely kiboshed. We're not doing it like that, right? But then the circumstances and the environment is different. The people who are involved are different. So it could actually be quite the opposite now. And all it took was for you to be open and for you to be present with what's going on right now, right? That you can really see it. I think too that involves the holistic perspective, because that's like another skill that I think.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say holistic perspective, I'm not talking like just natural health. I'm talking about having to understand that it's like there is this physical component, there's the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, the environment, like all of that is involved. And so sometimes you can get kind of laser focused, that's all that it is just being laser focused on that one thing. But when you can really, I say, do that, like you can go ahead, be the camera lens, zoom in, but always know that you're gonna have to zoom out. And then being open to the other perspectives that are coming in. I really think that is a skill. For some people, it comes more as a gift and a talent, so it comes a little bit more easily. Um, I do think it is also a skill that can be practiced more and more,
Mm-hmm.
just like meditation and just like mindfulness too. It's a practice. And you'll even see that as they talk about them practicing it, it's like different levels that kind of open up, right?
Is what you're calling mindfulness or what you're calling presence, I would call mindfulness, or a more genuine version of mindfulness. And this guy, Daniel J. Siegel, in that book, he talked about that. He just argued, he says, it's just a continuum. This happens to be the concentration of neurons, but
Mm-hmm.
then it goes throughout our body, and all of this, and being, sort of aware of the proprioception, the way your body feels, as part of the way you can alter your mind and body, which is a two-way interaction.
Yeah.
And
Well, I think we're talking about the same thing.
we are,
And
absolutely.
yeah, we're definitely talking about the same thing. And it's just for me, it's kind of similar to what you were saying with the ikigai, and that being
Blasphemed.
yeah, there you go. It's similar to that, right? Like it's
Right.
and so for me, it's just like it's not really the mind, like and so for it to be called like mindfulness, it's like
Mm.
no, the practice is actually not mindful. It's more than that, and so and yeah, and that's where it is that it's this whole misconception, and then therefore to me like affects the practice of it, which is then
Yeah.
why you're saying like body mind, it's like yeah, and that's why I'm like it's the wholefulness, it's the whole you,
Yeah.
the
I
whole
like your
being.
phrase because
And so,
it does sort of focus on that super important distinction or nuance, that it isn't just about one piece of the thing. Yeah. I like that. I like that term a lot because, like you said, and this is what tends to happen, especially in a social media soundbite world that we live in.
mm,
It's like, for example, like I said, going back to psychological safety, was talking about how Twitter had psychological safety. And when they were describing it, it's like, no, they should talk to Amy Edmondson, basically the creator of this stuff, to find out what they're talking about. Psychological safety isn't about the most sensitive people having their feelings protected. It's the ability to basically say anything as long as you're doing it with civility and respect.